In Travel Watch, new research from Booking.com reveals Americans are willing to give up just about anything to travel again. According to the travel agency, 71% of Americans feel more hopeful and optimistic about traveling in 2021 as more people get immunized. More than 250 million coronavirus vaccine doses have been administered in the U.S., with almost 1/3 of the country's population fully vaccinated. So for more on the state of global travel, the industry, let's bring in Glenn Fogel. He's the CEO of Booking.com. Thanks for joining us, Glenn. So you guys have really collected some really interesting data, and Vlad sort of laughed when I talked about people would be willing to give up just about anything. That was not an exaggeration. I mean, they're willing to give up some things that most of us spend our whole lives looking for. Can you talk about what people are willing to give up in order to just get on a plane and go somewhere?
You know, it just shows how much there is pent-up demand and people just want to get out and travel. I mean, people who say that they're willing to, give up a promotion and a career, that's interesting. But of course, some of the more social things, which I don't even want to go into, maybe you want to talk about it, but I was pretty surprised what people are willing to give up to go out and travel.
Well, wait, tell us what some of them are.
They said they would give up true love, Vlad. True love.
What?
Yeah.
Some people did.
Yeah.
It's not a vacation if you can't go with your true love. Come on.
Just temporarily, I'm sure. True love for a year, and then, we'll pick up back later.
Wait, but
maybe it has something to do with the lockdowns and such and being a little too close together for too long. Who knows?
I was literally going to say that, Glenn, because, one of the things I do believe that love was tested over the course of the last year and a half, and you really came to realize whether or not you should be with the person that you're with if you're locked down 24/7 with them. And so if those people are saying, look, I got to get away, then maybe it wasn't what you thought it was. Maybe it wasn't true love. But let's talk about some of the trials and tribulations that people are having when it comes to booking some of these trips. There are a lot of things that have changed. For example, today I was just randomly, I used to spend a lot of time in Japan for work, and I just follow a couple of Japanese Twitter accounts, and they were tweeting about things that are going on in Japan. And I said, it'd be great to travel to Japan again. And I looked, and they're still not accepting tourists in that country. And even countries that are accepting some tourists have restrictions in terms of whether or not you have to show your vaccination card, or whether or not you have to be tested by a testing provider that they recommend. So what are some of those things that people need to be worried about?
Yeah, it's very confusing right now. Different countries having different rules, and people who want to travel, they're just not sure, are they allowed to travel or not? It's a bit of a mess. Now, the situation in the U.S. very good, and we see travels increasing tremendously for domestic travel. But people want to go further. People want to go to Europe, for example. And the issue in Europe is there have been some announcements that Europe wants to open up to travel to tourists in the summer. But how people will do it and what you have to do to be able to be allowed to go, that's not known yet. So, for example, there's talk that you have to have a vaccine to come in. But then the question is, okay, I have my vaccine. How do I show proof I have my vaccine? Do I just bring my little white card? Is that going to be okay? Or am I supposed to have something on my phone? And nobody really knows what the details are. And we're still waiting to hear some of the announcements from some of the governments in terms of which countries will be allowed to go to which other countries and when. And it's really causing a problem for the industry.
Yeah, I think, just as a regular person who can't wait to travel, there's so many kind of factors that you have to consider. I was on the State Department website, and they have a whole list of countries that they say are no-go places. And then, I'm Canadian, so Canada just announced that they're looking at a vaccine passport if you wanted to enter Canada. You talked about Japan, Vlad. Japan only has like a 2.2% of their population vaccinated. So even if they allow you in, I don't know if you would want to go. I don't know if there's anything to do once you get there. I'm wondering if what you're seeing now, because I would love to go further afield, but I just feel like it's safer and more predictable to stay here in the U.S. Are you seeing people really lean into domestic travel and domestic vacations?
Absolutely. And the way you just said it, I think, is the way most people are thinking. They're thinking, gee, I don't know what the rules are. I'm not certain. And what if I go, but then I can't get back because the rules change again? And that's happened to some people who have traveled into different countries. And then there's some sort of lockdown. Right now, for example, Australians who are in India are going to have trouble going back to Australia because Australia is saying, hey, nobody from India, please, right now. So I understand why people are looking locally, domestically, and that has been seen in our data. And the great thing about the U.S. is there's so many great places to go that people have not explored yet. It's not as though there's a shortage of places to go and explore.
But that's an interesting point,
Yeah.
Glenn, because one of the things that my family and I do is we usually take a trip to New England every year. And this year I started early. I started looking in anticipation of easing restrictions in January. Normally I'm looking in March to book August travel, and I started looking in January, and every place that we've ever gone to and the places that we like to stay in are solidly booked. So the question becomes, what should people be thinking if you're sort of thinking outside the box here in the United States and maybe, let's say, in the Caribbean, which I know has not experienced the level of infections that in some other countries have experienced, like, for example, here in the U.S.?
Well, certainly there's some places for the summer, the peak area, that are very popular. There can be some trouble getting some availability in some of the places. I'm not sure which places you're looking in New England, but there are some places that always fill up in the summer season. So, and that's no different. But you can go to other places that'll be just as enjoyable. So certainly, Caribbean's an interesting idea. Even things that Mexico, for example, we're seeing a lot of people interested in going to Mexico, which is close by, and it's not the U.S. It's a little different. So there are places. I just say that it's never a shortage, really, of things to go. Maybe not the first thing that you thought of, but there are always places to go that people have not been to before. And I know that people say, gee, prices are going up. And I agree, prices are going up, and that's why it's really important. Book now. You know, you mentioned you started looking a few months ago and you couldn't find what you wanted. Well, a few months from now, it's going to be even harder. Don't wait till July to try and book that August holiday. Book it right now and make sure what you're booking is flexible. One of the great things about our site, booking.com, so much of the stuff can be canceled for free, which is really important because you don't know what's going to happen in the future. Maybe your plans change. Maybe somebody gets ill. You want to have that flexibility and a free cancelable option.
Glenn, I know we got to wrap this up, but I have a real quick question because we've done a lot of reporting on vaccine hesitancy here. And I wonder if you've heard anything from travel industry officials, specifically, I guess, Homeland Security, which would be responsible for getting us through security checkpoints at airports, if they are considering allowing people who are fully vaccinated to sort of, you know, how you can get clear and you can get some of these, if you are, in a travel, one of those travel groups, like, you know, you're an executive member or you have a gold card for an airline, you can get past security much quicker. Are you hearing that may be an incentive that is offered to get people through lines quicker?
I have urged this to every single government person I talk to. I mean, we have TSA pre-check. If you're a safe traveler, you can go through a lot faster. And of course, there's Clear. You mentioned that too. So being a safe traveler, it's not only that you're a good citizen, but we know you're not carrying a virus with you. And so if you have vaccination proof, why shouldn't there be a shorter line for you to go? And that message of getting vaccinated gives you certain types of things you'll like. That would helpfully make people more interested in getting the vaccine. I mean, one of the things we all know is that for us to go back to the way things used to be, we need a lot more people being willing to take that vaccine. So anything we can do to incentivize people to get the vaccine would be really helpful for the entire world.
Well, being able to go on a great vacation is certainly an attractive option. Glenn Fogel, thanks a lot.
Thank you.